Welcome to another episode of the Fanzone podcast, your home for all things Bolton Wanderers, up the Trotters, the Northwest's #1 podcast.
Good evening then, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you on a Friday night. I don't think I can remember the last time we've done a Friday night post-match. Might even be a first on the Fanzone.
I think we ever have, to be honest.
This new Sky deal is causing havoc with our rota and schedule for the season. But here we are. A very happy Friday to you all, especially channel members who I can see some of you in the chat already. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. The chat is busy already, which I think is probably a byproduct of what was a pretty good result yesterday, I think it's fair to say. Wanderers recorded their first away win of the season. A much needed 3 points, a much needed improved performance. Everything about that was much needed. I think that could have been the second title of this evening's episode. But here we are. Thank you all for joining us. As I said, get your comments in the chat as we go through this evening's episode. This evening's show, as with all of our post-match shows, is sponsored by Loving My Socials. If you want to find out any more about Loving My Socials, or indeed our preview show sponsor, B2B Workwear, then if you head over to our website, which is www.thefanzonepod.co.uk, you can do exactly that. But housekeeping over, ladies and gents, it is post Huddersfield. It is an away win. It is 3 points. It is important. It is huge. And what better place to get stuck in than with our post-match reactions. Now, I mean, where to start? We could start with the first half, but that was a bit boring, in all fairness, wasn't it? I was thinking to myself, for some of these games, it would be absolutely wonderful for us to record our half-time reactions and to play them on the episode, because I have a feeling they would be very, very different tone than compared to what we're about to get stuck into. Obviously, the first half was relatively disappointing, although we were sort of slightly better of the two sides, I would say. What matters in those games where it is slight is who puts the ball in the back of the net, and that was Huddersfield. I wouldn't even give them the credit of saying it was a well-worked set piece. It was just a good delivery. Cogley, I think, has let his man go a little bit too easy. He's tried playing for a foul and not won it. But there we are. That's the first half done. The second half now then, that was Laura. Thank you very, very much. We will slightly digress. Laura, cheers to you. £5 donation. I'm sure Laura's got to be like the top donor for the channel. Maybe there's a way we can find that out. But Laura, thank you very much. In true celebration fashion, with a super chat, I believe it is. Right then, ladies, gents, post-match reactions. We'll have a one-word review, please, in the chat. If you can squeeze it into one word, that is. Put those in the chat and we'll get some of them up on screen. Dan, we'll hand over to you first, though. Give us a little breakdown, give us a run through. Tell us actually, how were you feeling at half-time, and how are you still feeling now?
Oh, man. Well, half-time, we've been here before a time or two, haven't we? Frustrating. Didn't think we played that bad. It weren't a good game at all, don't get me wrong. They scored their header. I was debating whether Cogley might have done better or if there might have been a foul in it, but I couldn't really make my mind up on that. But long overdue, so overdue, but what a bloody way to do it in front of them fans. Absolutely fantastic. I thought we played a lot better second half. I know they got tired. We had chances. I thought we played all right. I thought we deserved it, but obviously you think we've been there before so many times this season. You do just think, what's it going to take for us? And obviously it took 2 goals in 2 minutes, and it just capped an unbelievable performance in second half, but more so the away following, just different level. I think I've rewatched it. It's in the hundreds today. There's been no work done whatsoever. There's been no work done. Absolutely brilliant, and enjoy it because we've waited a long time for that. And let's just hope now it's a catalyst for moving forward, and we back it up. We're going on some kind of run. But it was good to see, brilliant to see.
Absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned their catalyst. In terms of morale, I don't think there's probably a better way to boost that squad's confidence and feeling in the camp right now than the fashion and the way that we won that game. I can imagine the players, like we all are still absolutely buzzing from that. And there were... the first half is still a concern for me because I don't think we can rock up to too many places and get away with that kind of performance. Like I said, I thought we were marginally better, but we weren't good enough, to put it simply, which feels perhaps a little harsh, given the nature of the win. But that being said, that second half that's the standard, really, isn't it? That's where we have to be in every game, not just the big fixtures and against the big teams. That's the benchmark that a promotion candidate should be expecting to see. Cole, what were your thoughts on the game? How did you see it play out? Obviously, you were fortunate enough to be in that away end. Talk us through it.
Yeah. The one word review I would give it would be exhilarating. And that's purely based on that away end. It was exhilarating. Then final few moments. And I don't say this lightly because I'm fortunate enough to have been to many away days that, stand out from the crowd, shall we say. But that is certainly in my kind of top 10, I'd say, in my lifetime, the ending to that game. It was, it's not very often that happens. I think I read that the last time we did it in added time was like around 95 minutes in that kind of similar situation. Please, in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure I read that yesterday on the way back. But the game itself, you segued into that quite nicely, actually, Ben. You used the word confidence, and I think that was the one thing that was lacking, especially in that first half. You could see there was situations that occurred where, 3 or 4 games ago, the lads would have responded in them situations completely different. I'm thinking of deep running from midfield, such as Simons, things like that. He didn't. There was an incident on the right-hand side in the first half where he had a perfect opportunity to drive forward with the ball, and because confidence isn't as high as it has been in recent weeks, he decided to play the safe pass sideways to Cogley, and there may have been an element of rotation in that. Because I think rotation, the way we moved the ball about throughout the whole game, was a big contributing factor to the reason why we ended up winning it. I think often we can get a little bit caught up with that sideways and backwards malarkey from our previous manager, but it's still a big part of the game, and it's important to look after the ball in certain situations. And obviously the defenders for Huddersfield, for some bizarre reason, I'll get onto them in a second, were defending so deep, and they're enticing, us on throughout the whole game, which I thought was rather bizarre, if I'm honest with you. I thought, whilst I'm on Huddersfield, I thought they were poor. I thought, for a team that I would consider probably our closest rival in terms of club size in the league, to have the goalkeeper down, wasting time with half an hour to go because they were under the cosh at home, I'd expect that from a Stevenage or whoever, a club who's not got the resources, but I would never accept that as acceptable if it was us doing that. So God knows what they were thinking. But they invite their own pressure on. I think the way we used the ball throughout that second half was a big contributor to the reason why we won that game. We were good we were very good in the second half. We were okay in the first half. But confidence grew, I think, as the game went on and the more we had of the ball and stuff. So, yeah, really good win. And I don't want to kind of dampen the mood a little bit, but we've seen it before this, haven't we? That Wigan game, I was hoping we were going to be the catalyst to push us on. It's absolutely imperative that we go on a run now. I'm sick to death of saying it. It's driving me mad. We need to go on a run of victories to get us in that top 2 conversation. We know we're only 5 points off that top 2. So it's within reach, within reason. I know teams have got games in hand and all that type of malarkey, but ultimately we're 5 points behind. So let's go on a run and let's try and close that gap.
Absolutely, yeah. I think a lot of us mentioned and referenced that Wigan game as a potential catalyst, but I think this is just this one is different, not just because of the fashion in how we won the game, but if you look at the fixtures following Wigan, we had an under-21s game where the squad was largely changed, and then it was Northampton. None of those fixtures, I think, inspire much. I mean, ultimately, they're professional footballers. They should be getting out and playing football to the best of their ability, no matter who we're playing. But I think if you look at the upcoming fixtures compared to that after that Wigan game, they're a different story. Obviously, you've got the cup game against Huddersfield, which is a little bit later on, but that Cardiff game is an absolutely huge fixture. And then you've got a couple more cup games, but you head into the likes of Stevenage, Bradford, Luton. The first 2 of those, which have had very impressive starts to the season, and Luton, obviously with a new manager in charge, will be looking to mount their own push for some sort of promotion spot. So yeah, I think absolutely it has to be a catalyst for Wanderers to kick on and really make a claim.
I think that's a very good point, actually, Ben, about the run of fixtures of that Cardiff game next week. I mean, as I said last season, I'll say it this season, we should be beating everybody in this league at home. Like, I don't care who's coming to us. So we certainly shouldn't fear Cardiff at all. But it's a great opportunity for them to continue on from that last night, in it, because the size of the game and the amount of eyes that will likely be on it. So yeah, it's good. Who have we got after that? So Stevenage is after that in the league. Sorry, Ben.
It's Huddersfield in the cup.
Yeah, in the league. I'm not bothered about the cup. The league.
Yes, it's Port Vale, and then it's another cup game, and then it's Stevenage.
So home games. We've got home, away are the next 3 in the league. That's good.
Yes,
really good. Okay, yeah, no, that's promising. We just need to ensure that we capitalise on it. For me, FA Cup, as much as I love that competition, I wouldn't be bothered if we got knocked out of that, to be honest. I just want to all eyes on the league, personally.
Yeah, it's certainly the priority. And I'd be surprised if that message wasn't being, distributed through camp accordingly. Yeah. It was emphatic, wasn't it? It was a fantastic performance, rounded off with 2 deserved goals. I think it's also important to mention. And there were some standout performances in there. We'll move through and go into our Fanzone Man of the Match segment. And of course, as always, get your comments in the chat for who you think deserves your Man of the Match award this week. We are removing all previous banning orders against certain players, so it is complete free reign this week. That being said, I think there might only be one winner, but we'll go through it anyway. Right then, Fanzone Man of the Match. As I said, get your comments in the chat. Colin, we'll hand over to you first. Let's have your Man of the Match and why.
And
the
why?
Fans is also a very good shout. We had a comment in the chat. I will accept that one.
Yeah, the Fans were excellent in the second half, especially. We weren't great in the first half. We were pretty, a bit irritated, to be honest with you. I think in the most part, the way that the fans were reacting. But yeah, we managed to galvanise them, didn't we, in the second half? And again, like Shuey said, I think that's a contributing factor to why we managed to get them points yesterday, which is credit where credit's due to each and every one of you. Man of the match. obviously it's a Mario Cozy Dewberry gets man of the match because he got a goal and assist. You know, it's simple really in it, and I think his overall performance was pretty good. Even in the first half, he was pretty lively. I think he was our only threat, and that is a big concern of mine as well. In fairness, I want more players to step up. I want more players to be that main man. I know, obviously, Mason Burstow's top goal scorer, but in game, when you want a little bit of creative spark, I think there's a little bit too much emphasis on Mario to do something. And when he's not perfect, and when things aren't going swimmingly, that's where we have issues. So, you know, Force, I want you to step up. I thought when McAtee came on, I thought he looked lively, you know, he energetic. He looked like he wanted it. I want players to start stepping up to the plate now and not just purely relying on Mario to produce the goods. He gets man of the match, but there are, like I said, one or two decent performances. I thought Sheehan played well, especially in the second half. It's a special mention to him. I thought, and I know statistically, if you look at the stats, he didn't seem to have a great game, also to statistically, but I thought, considering he'd been out for 2.5 months, coming back, he did give that very, very experienced Lyndon Gooch a bit of a run-in, especially in the second half. So I think he deserves a little bit of a shout as well. But there were a good number of performances. But yeah, obviously, Dewberry was man of the match.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, in the chat, there has only been one other vote for any other player, and that's David Jones with Simmons. And yeah, you were right to shout out a couple of players there. It is obviously a team game, and some of those players that probably will go under the radar because of the nature of Dewberry's performance played in equal part. I thought Moley coming off the bench as well was fantastic. Obviously, played a pretty big role in that second goal. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, Cozy Dewberry. Sorry, man at match. I don't think it was his best ever game for us, but that's what top players do, innit? They produce moments of quality when it matters. So he's got the assist and he's got the goal to win it for us. One thing I love about him is he'll always try and beat his man, which is great. It doesn't always work, but he's always trying to get it back as well. He's a right lively little player, and he doesn't have to put himself about for someone who's about 5'5" or whatever. Exactly, yeah, Joshua. You can't knock his work ethic, which is not always so common with wingers, is it? You get a lot who love it when they're on ball and doing the step overs, but then as soon as they're asked to go the other way and kind of defend, they don't always do that.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with Ossie Tutu in that second half because I think most of our fans would have had him off at half time. In all honesty, because he just weren't at it. He's obviously not fit. He's been out a long time. When Ossie Tutu's doing that bit where he can just knock it past him and skin him, get into the byline, you forget how good a player he is because we've not seen it all that often because of the injuries.
Sorry, Dan. I'll just on him. We hadn't spoke me and Dan about the man of the match and our comments, so it's just obviously we're reiterating our same thoughts here. But when it comes to Tutu, all I do is think about that game against Birmingham when he was literally unplayable and it must have had like 4 or 5 players on him at once. So that's how good he is. Let's not forget that. You know? Yeah,
he's fantastic. It's just a shame he can't keep that run of games for his fitness. I also give a bit of a shout out here to Burstow. I know he didn't score. He produced a bit of brilliance for Mario's goal where he got it under control, did a bit of a skill, and that the weight of that pass just to thread it through are just unbelievable. Looks simple, but it's rarely executed that well in this league anyway. But that lad, he's everything you want in a striker. He never stops running. He's always offering for the ball, always running in behind. He's young, he's still a bit raw, but flipping heck, he doesn't half look complete at times. I think there's not much that he can't do. He presses high up, like you say. Even though he didn't get his goal, he got an assist, obviously, for winning goal. But I thought he was really good, and I thought maybe his whole performance might have gone under the radar last night a little bit. Barry's assist, but I don't think there were anyone who were poor. It was nice to see Conway going on a bit of an adventurous run, which he's not done for a few games, and it shows you how fantastic he is with ball. And I'd love to see more of that. Because he's got something about him, the way he moves on ball. He can just he did 3 or 4 players, I think, before threading.
Dan, sorry that goes back to what I was saying before about confidence. Like
confidence. Yeah,
in that first half, they were lacking confidence, but in the second half, because we were seeing more of the ball, it grew, and that's where that kind of mazy run came from Conway. That's the type of stuff he was doing a few games back when it was flying with confidence. So confidence is, I keep saying the word over and over again, but obviously we all know it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course it is. But
it is indeed.
Mario Kozia Dubry is mine. Long-winded explanation, but there you go.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Obviously, the obvious answer is Dubry, but there were so many good performances in that perhaps if Dubry wasn't as good as he was, we'd be giving them man of the match instead. I thought 2-2. It was the perfect example, wasn't it, of a player that grows into the game, which I think you could only really expect after being out for so long. It wasn't going to come out the traps flying and doing what he was doing in the second half straight away. And actually, you referenced that Birmingham game. He was played high out on the left, and
he was,
might actually be where his best position is. And at a time where left wing for us is looking a little bit difficult, I see no better opportunity for him to come in and do what he did.
So that's another one though, Ben. You say it's looking difficult. Obviously, you're saying that, I'm presuming, because obviously Gale's injured and Sissoko's like the worst signing we've ever made. But on Sissoko, I think it's very important that we try and remember that I was thinking about him yesterday, and I was thinking, well, if he gets picked tonight, what kind of reception is he going to get? If people are going to be negative with him straight away and start writing him off, probably. So I was hoping that he weren't going to start, and he didn't.
You have just called him the worst signing we've ever made.
No, I didn't say that. I said he's made out to be the worst signing we've ever made.
Okay.
My point being is we shouldn't be writing players off so early in the season. Yes, he's poor so far. But I remember vividly when we signed Paris Magoma for the first 15 games of the season, everybody thought he were a bag of shit. And the next, everybody would have him back in a heartbeat. So we do have to try and remember it does take a little bit of time for players to kind of gel. I'm bringing that up, Ben, because I was thinking about him potentially getting picked yesterday, but also there were people whinging and moaning about him coming onto the pitch, and it was Taylor in the end who ended up coming on.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And it's a bit like you're writing a player off who's not even he's not even the right player.
I think I think it's frustrating with Sissoko because you can see that he's got ability. It's just the bit that counts with the kind of the whip rate and the application in game to go with it. And obviously he's only 22. He's only a kid, isn't he? So yeah, it might be a bit premature, but he has to give you something to show a bit of confidence in him, doesn't he, as well? So
he does. He does. I don't dispute that. But Paris didn't, did he? I keep going back to Paris, but
I thought my mind obviously is going back a couple of years there. But I think he always showed glimpses, Paris, but kind of drifted in and out of games as well, which he even did when he were on form for us. That's just the type of player he was. Brilliant technical footballer, obviously.
I mean, there's plenty of examples of that. It took Kyle Dempsey season or more to really bed into this team and find his feet. And yeah, I think you're right. There's both actually right in that. I think notoriously football fans are pretty quick to write off players as good, bad, or indifferent a little bit quickly. But that being said, you are right, Dan, in that you have to. If a player wants confidence putting in them, they have to give you a reason to do it. And the gaffer will be saying exactly that as well.
Speaking of that, I think with regards to the gaffer, Ben, I think that it wouldn't surprise me if he sat him down and said, listen, you're not as good as you think you are. I know you've played at the top league in Holland. I know you think, I know you've played in the Championship. I know you've played in the French First Division and whatnot, but you're at League One now. So, like, you're a very good footballer, clearly, but you're not as good as you think you are, because I think that's his biggest thing. I think he thinks he's above the level. You can kind of see the way he plays. Do you get what I mean? So that I'm presuming that he would have had an honest conversation with him. I would suspect, or if he hasn't, I would imagine he probably will do, because there's definitely a player in there. I just think he just needs to be maybe brought down a peg or two. I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps, who knows? Anyway, my man of the match is also Kozia Dubry. I think it goes without a surprise that he picks up this evening's Fanzone man of the match award. So, phenomenal. And long may it continue way past January, right till the end of the season, please. That will do us nicely. Thank you very much. Right. We'll hand over to our stat man, who I assume will be equally as excited. I think he's been waiting for a good performance for a little while as well. So
Deep
here's your
dive.
stat man with Gaffer's notebook.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gaffer's Notebook, and you may notice a bit of an annoyed grin here. It's because I need to get this to work, right? It wasn't the best game, was it? However, the stats actually say it was all right. That is why you've got to use the eye test and stats together. What really stats are made for is to back up stuff you've seen. They should not be used as the whole judgment of something. And I am the stat man, quite literally. So if you can't believe me on this, what can you believe? Know what I mean? So let's move on to the actual game. Let me stop educating you about stats, because who cares, really? Let's be fair. Anyway, go into their place and dominating the ball. Superb, right? Very impressive. 59% possession for yourselves. And you attempted 434 passes, right? 246 of them were in your own half. And that may sound like you were playing boring football, which you were, to be fair. But no, that actually shows that you were actually trying to progress the ball forward quite a lot, because only 246 in your first half out of that many is actually quite impressive. You know, it doesn't really sound it, to be fair. But yeah, I'm going to have a bit of a pop at Mr. Schumacher, as I always do. So yeah, why on earth do you have to keep playing force as a number 10 in the centre when you're dominating the football? For the love of God, right? And I'm not a religious man. But still, it really annoys me, because he is such a good footballer. But is he the type of player you want in the pocket when you're dominating the ball? No. Would he be all right on the wing? Yeah. Could he be more than all right on the wing? Yeah. Play him on the left. Just try it. It might not work, but try it, right? Because Gale's injured. Sissoko's... Yeah, let's be fair. And OC22 did not have a good game. So why not give it a go, for Christ's sake? Anyway, yeah, let's just go through Force's performance, shall we? As a number 10, you could argue he played up front, but either way, he was the deeper out of the front two. He created one chance. He missed his only big chance of the game. He made just one dribble, and he only touched the ball 27 times. I do not need to say anything more, do I? So let's move on. I'm not going to have another go, right? Why on earth would you sub off Max Conway, your attacking left back, with 8 minutes to go when you're 1-0 down, for a defensive option, right? I think there's no arguments that Richard Taylor is more defensive than Max Conway. And yeah, he looks all right, but that is not the moment to bring him on, especially when he needs a bit of confidence, clearly, because he's just not playing. Yeah, you're chasing the game. Lob a striker on, and you did. 2 minutes later, he brought Dolby on. But why couldn't he have just took blooming... If you want to take him off, fair enough, he might have been knackered. Put OC22 at left back and bring on Dolby. Jesus. You know what I mean? Really, really annoying. And you got away with it, to be fair. But that is stupid, if you ask me. Stupid. And you can tell I'm annoyed because I brought out a different accent. Anyway, let's get more positive, shall we? I want to give a big shout out to Mr. John McAtee, right? He's had to sit on the bench. He's had to sit in the stands because he didn't get picked for quite a bit this season, even though he started the first game against Stockport County. So make of that what you will. But yeah, I thought he came on. And while he didn't look completely unbelievable, he changed the game because he's a number 10 playing as a number 10. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can tell he actually is that sort of player that belongs in that position. And he wasn't brilliant, but he makes the runs beyond Burstow when he drops off. And that is crucial when your striker likes to drop deep. And so, yeah, I thought he was decent, to be fair. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a start pretty soon. So let's move on to another positive. Sam Dolby off the bench. what a header that is. What a header. And to do that with a defender behind you and a defender in front of you, and you're leaning back like this, and he's somehow gone bosh across the goal. Cracking header. And I think we can all agree, as a box striker, he is pretty mint, right? Outside of the box, yeah, I don't know. But if Cozy Dubry is going to be putting them crosses in on a regular basis, I think he's going to score a hell of a lot of goals. So, that's only a good thing, obviously, having two strikers who can put the ball in the back of the net, is it not? But yeah, just to go a bit negative towards the end. I will go positive before I end it, I promise. Stop playing Cozy Dubry inside. Stop telling him to come inside. I want paint on his boots. I want his boots to be completely white by the end of the game because he's been stood on the touchline for that long. Yes, he can play inside and he can affect the game well, but he is so much better on the wing. So much better. Oh, yeah, I've said it all in the past, why he's better. So you can have a look at many different reviews and previews. But in essence, he's a winger. Yeah. He's not a midfielder, is he? He's a winger. Play him on the wing. Simple. And, go on. Let's have a bit of positivity before I end it, shall we? Away win. Mega. No matter who you're playing. Away win against 7th place in the league before you play them. Mega. Especially when you haven't won one, right? So what I would say is, even though I've kicked off a bit, as per of late, right? Enjoy it. Be happy that you've won an away game. Build on the momentum. You cannot win this game in the way that you did and then go be absolutely awful next time, right? You've got to look to build. Because I'm not being funny. Training ground today or tomorrow, whenever they're back in, should be absolutely buzzing, right? Because that win was quality, even if the performance wasn't great. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I've dragged on a bit, have I not? So I'll end my segment, and I'm sure you can all put in the chat. Statman's getting passionate. Yes, he is, because he cares, right? So, enjoy the rest of the show, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
That is the most animated I've seen the Statman in a very, very long time. And I thought a lot of what he said was fair. I do like the idea of Cozy Dubry playing quite far out on the touchline, especially if the intention is to play balls into the box for Dalby. We've seen what he's capable of. Fours on the left is a potential. I think the reason we've not seen that perhaps is because that number 10 spot looks a little bit poor, dare I say. Obviously, you've got McAtee as an option, you've got Joel Randall as an option, but neither of those two have really done enough for me to cement a spot permanently in that role. Whereas Force, obviously, with 2 goals against Wigan, he always looks lively. And I think even though it might be a little bit of perhaps square peg in a round peg in a square, or whatever it's called, the reason we've not seen that is just because the depth in that number 10 role isn't quite at the level Schumacher would hope. But there you are.
I disagree with that. I think if he was sat on this podcast now and he said...
Probably got 3.
He'd say that I'm pretty well blessed in that number 10 area, if I'm honest with you.
Well, it's a position that's changed the most, hasn't it, in terms of who plays there. We've had McAtee.
Yeah, but I think that's... I think
Burstow there as well.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that stems from the fact that he realises that some players suit better at certain games. Away from home, I can't quite think of the scenario specifically, but this was Ian Ever. He'd be playing the same players no matter who we were playing and where we were playing. Whereas there's going to be a swap and change with Shuey because he recognises that, players are better in certain situations against certain teams.
You're right there, but to some extent, I do know what Ben's saying. No one's made it their own, have they?
He's not made it their own. I don't dispute that.
I think that's maybe more
talent-wise. I think that he'd be saying, "I'm probably more blessed at the whole league." We've
got good options there, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly options there. My point was more along the lines of that. Like Dan said, no one's made it their own, and in terms of options, we've got plenty. But if the options were of such a quality that we should be so impressed by them, I think we'd see a regular starter there, which we haven't.
I don't think you're ever going to get that in League One, though. You're never going to get players that are ripping up trees every single week in that.
But I mean, if you look at other areas of the pitch, I mean, Cogley's been there. Conway's played in his role more or less every single game. Simmons has been there every single game. Burstow's now up top every single game.
I think the thing is with that is that I know Force, he scored 2 against Wigan, and I think he got like a run of games off back of that. But I don't think anyone's showed as much consistency in other as other players have in other positions.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why they're kind of chopping and changing. But there'll definitely be some merit to different games, different requirements of that player, even if it's in the 10 role. Whether it's more physicality, better shooting ability, whatever. But I do think that nobody has yet gone on that run of like 5 games or so where you think, that's them. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's theirs to lose kind of thing. And I think that's why he has been flirting around a little bit more. What I will say about Statman there, amazing as always, that lad is a future Bolton Wanderers season ticket holder. He just doesn't know it yet because his passion every week is increasing, and there will be a transition from red to white eventually. And if I were a betting man, I might put a couple of quid on that.
Maybe we should do a sweepstake.
Yeah. See what year it is.
Yeah.
Maybe when they get relegated this season.
Yeah, possibly.
He's always more than welcome. I'm sure we can all agree on that. But there you are. There is the Statman. That was his review of Huddersfield Town away. And we'll push on now into another segment, which is 3 up, 3 down, which I think for the first time in a long time will actually be 3 up, 3 down. And as always, I will keep banging the drum. Get your comments in the live chat. Let's have your one positive to start, please, Wanderers fans. And Dan, we will hand over to you. Colin, I have a very good feeling I know what your positive is going to be. You might surprise us though, but Dan, what was your up?
It's the name of the podcast, Limbs. Just what a iconic might be a stretch, but what a visual to look at that was. It was just absolutely incredible, and obviously seen it a million times on Twitter, etc. Haven't we? We've all been watching it, I'm sure. But to see the fans just kind of erupt like that, travelling in the numbers on a Thursday, backing the lads, getting what they deserve from a game in the manner that they got it, unreal. Those Limbs were something else.
They were. I don't think there is anything else we can say. And my down is of a similar note to that. But Col, what was your up?
My up, I'm going to surprise you. It was quite nice yesterday, actually, at the game. There's a few people who...
Was it?
Yeah, not necessarily just about the football, but just in general, a few people who listen or watch the podcast back or live who said hello. And that was quite nice. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, is an up. But the up was on the way out of the ground, as I was kind of, a few people shouted something to me. I won't repeat exactly what one person said, but I'll repeat this because I thought it was quite amusing. Some guy who obviously I don't know, but clearly he listens and watches this, so thanks very much for your support. He shouted, "Stick that on your effing podcast," as I was walking out, which I thought, we absolutely will stick that on our podcast because it was bloody brilliant. So yeah, listen, it was good. That it was nice. That was definitely an up for me. People recognizing the fact that we do it, and we do, we try our best to keep you all entertained. But certainly reacting to that game yesterday was something that we definitely wanted to do. Stick it on our podcast, as he said.
Indeed it was. My up for this game was, I'm going to go with an isolated moment, although I could have just picked the game as a whole, was Dalby's goal. I think that is the perfect example of what Dalby was brought in to do. I think that is the perfect example of what other players on the pitch need to give in terms of service for him. That header was unbelievable. Statman mentioned it in his segment there. The way that he was leaning back, he had a player in front of him, a player behind him. The ball came in pretty quick as well, and it was a good ball, don't get me wrong, but it's a difficult one to get on the end of, especially given where Dalby was. So for me, that was my positive. It was an excellent finish. And then on the back of that, to be in the 90, given the game time that Dalby's had, to have run into the back of the net to go and pick the ball up and think, you know what, we could have another one here, is just phenomenal. It's absolutely, I mean, it's part batshit crazy, but I love it. Like, nobody in their right mind surely is thinking that. I know full well I wasn't. But yeah, that's the kind of mentality we need to see from this football team. So that is my positive. There we are. We have confirmation on who the gent was.
Marcus, legend, whoever you are, you amused me on the way out of the ground. It was pretty funny, that. So fair play to you.
Indeed. Right. I mean, if we can pick a negative,
I can.
Okay, fire
yeah,
away.
I'll go first.
Get him in the chat as well.
The concourse at that so-called decent stadium is absolutely horrendous. Honest to God, there must have been 2,500 of us there, and at half time there was about 1,000 of us on the concourse and just weren't any room. It was absolutely disgusting. Like, you felt like cattle, and they need to sort that out because it's pathetic. I'm presuming, obviously, they're used to kind of smaller allocations. And I was speaking to one of the security guys at half time, and he was saying it was the same with Stockport last week. It was horrendous, like people getting squashed and all sorts of stuff. So honestly, awful.
Tiny, innit?
Yeah, really, really bad. Poorly designed. So that is definitely a down for me. But yeah, bit of a whinge, but you know me.
We do indeed. Dan, what about you?
Just the sense of deja vu, really, when we went a goal behind and just thinking, is this going to be another one when you see us missing a couple of chances or that final ball lacking? So you've seen it so many times this season, it just makes you think, well, when are we going to win? Well, we bloody won then, didn't we? So it's all right in the end. But that would have been my only down, if you want to call it one.
Indeed. My down, aside from not being at the game, was that because I was at home, I had the privilege of watching from my bedroom on the telly. And my down is that when Bolton scored, the cameraman decided to pan to Cozy Dewberry running behind the net and celebrating with his teammates, as opposed to the absolute carnage that was happening in the stands.
I've got a theory for this, Ben. Sorry to interrupt you, and I want to tell you whether you agree with this or not. Right, so I reckon the reason why that happens is because these cameramen are obviously trained to a certain standard, and I'm presuming that the cameramen are the same cameramen that record the Premier League games on Sky, of which there are hundreds of them all the time. In the Premier League, the fans are really only interested about the players doing silly FIFA celebrations, and the fans themselves in the Premier League, in the most part, are too busy taking pictures of the players making the silly FIFA celebrations, that they're not really too wild as we are in the doldrums of League One. So I reckon maybe the reason why that happens is because they're trained to record in that manner, essentially, like they would do in the Prem when it's a main Sky game. Does that make sense?
You are, I think, in part right. It is the way that they are trained. The other reason is I've seen that clip on Twitter about 1 million times. And from a Premier League point of view, when a sponsor is paying God knows how much to sponsor a shirt or perhaps the advertising in the ground, it is the cameraman's job to make sure that in those big moments that get shared billions of times on social media, that sponsor is primed and ready to be all over the telly and on socials.
So Victoria Plumbing and are going to be buzzing, aren't they? Basically,
yeah. And the little strawberry on the sleeve as well. They'll be absolutely buzzing. So yeah, it's a shame that is the way that it is, but what can you do? Hey, what can you do?
Can I just say in response to Jordan's message there about Maka having his shoulder popped back in, has that been confirmed? Because it did look like that, didn't it? I don't know if you saw that on the.
I must have missed this
on the coverage. One of the other lads were holding his arm while he was kind of ragging it back in place, and just wondered if he had dislocated it or something. But
But it didn't show any effects afterwards because he was waving his arms about after the game.
He didn't even look in pain when he did it. But just thought if anybody known if that were confirmed or not. But yeah, we're a bit crazy to see that.
Adrenaline is a wonderful thing. So yeah, I'm sure if he wasn't in pain then he probably will be now.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
But yeah, there you are. That is 3 up, 3 down from this week. And we will round off this evening's episode as we approach the hour mark in perfect timing with Fanzone Fan Focus. So, of course, it goes without saying, get your talking points in the chat, please. But yeah, Fan Focus. Right then,
Ben. Before we carry on, whilst we're focusing on the fans, can I make a request?
You can indeed.
If any of you have got any coverage from that game yesterday in the stands, send it to us because we want Timbo with his back office skills to create us a lovely little video for the intro and outro. So please do send them to us, and we'll use them on here. Over to you, Ben. Sorry.
We will indeed. Yeah, it goes without saying, any game that you've got videos from, please do send them through. But this one in particular, I'm sure, is a very special one. There was a video on Twitter I saw that I did contemplate stealing, but I think I'll reach out to the person instead.
You're better than that, Ben.
Indeed. Right, Fan Focus then. I have one comment not a comment. Well, it is a comment. It's not from the chat, it's from me, which I think kind of could have tied into player profile. We did one. So I suppose it's more of a special mention, really. I wanted to give to George Johnston. I thought that I think that's his standard. That's the benchmark that he will set for himself. However, I think that after the nature of recent performances, not just from him, but from the whole team, I thought he did exceptionally well. I thought he dealt with everything that came his way pretty confidently. I don't think he didn't look lackluster. He didn't look clumsy. He looked sharp and he looked on it. And I think to mark such a big game with a massive turnaround in performance is a huge testament to him. I was looking at some of the stats, and he made 6 recoveries. Now, I was interested in that. The average defender in the Premier League makes 5 in a game. So to make 6 at League One level in such a big game, I think is a testament to him. He made 12 clearances as well, which is mammoth. And that's the kind of George Johnston that we all know and love and hope to see much more of over the course of the season. Yeah. This one is an interesting one. Is because we've talked about Simmons. There's been comparisons of a Rolls Royce. Dan, you'll have to remind me of the car you used in the
Nissan Sunny 1995.
My dad had one of them. First car. I remember
my first car, mate.
Blue one.
Clutch went after I picked it up. Fantastic scenes.
Yeah. So yeah, we went there to Cardiff in 2001 in my dad's. I remember.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Sunny, yeah.
Wow.
If he's still in the chat, he'll remember it quite well. Sky blue one. Yeah, it was interesting car.
Nissan Sunnies. We should do a podcast on Nissan Sunnies.
On cars. Maybe we should do it on the Patreon. We should talk about our first cars.
Yeah. Well, you know about mine now.
Ben's still driving it.
Get that. Yeah. Is Simons the most underrated? I don't think he is. I think he is well regarded, and we know when he's on it what he brings to the team, and he's been fantastic, obviously. And he's not the only one. For the last few games, maybe his performances have dipped a little bit. Not against Huddersfield. I thought he was good, but no, I think we appreciate how good he is. To be fair, I do. I don't think he's kind of one that you don't think about. He's a cracking player.
Sorry, we do. I think we do appreciate how good he is, and I think the negative to that is that we focus on when he isn't at the races. As seen in the last couple of games.
Sorry.
Colin?
Yeah, I will talk about something. My dad's just said 1988 G-registered Nissan Sunny, the best car he's ever had. The car before he had last was an Audi A8. like a spaceship. What's he talking about?
They don't make them like they used to.
What's he talking about? Best car he's ever had. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway. Simons. I like him. I like him a lot. I think he's a very good midfielder for this level. I think he would benefit strangely from a consistent midfield too. I think he's a type of player that he needs to know who he's playing with, or he performs better when he's got that kind of
relationship.
Yeah. Because he's a bit of an all-rounder, isn't he? So like he'll need to know when he can go or when he can't. But like when you're mixing and matching who you're playing with, I don't know. I don't think it does midfielders, especially two holders, very good. That I'd like them to be more consistent with who's playing, which is really difficult because the four that we've got are really good, aren't they?
Five if you throw Dempsey in.
Well, yeah, I'm not so sure Dempsey playing that kind of central defensive kind of midfield role, though, would he really? I wouldn't have thought, but
I think the reason we've not seen that, I think it was going to be Arahan, and then obviously he picked up his injury, which put a spanner in the works. But I think you are absolutely right. For a player of that quality, because for a player who can read the game so well, he needs to know what everybody else is doing. And the only way to really have that is with a consistent, partnership, whether it be around him or the rest of the team for that fact. So yeah, I think he definitely would benefit from a consistent partner in that midfield. And we're fortunate that no matter who plays in that other defensive role, will complement Simmons just because he's so good at everything.
Sorry, Ben. Ian's just tickled me with his comment. For people listening back on audio, we need to get better at this, reading these out, to be honest. He said, Ian said, Adebayo equates to a clapped-out transit van in motoring comparisons. I think we need to...
With a little bit of tape on the wing mirror.
Yeah, we need to bring out a car podcast, don't we?
I'm enjoying these car comparisons, I have to say.
Well.
I'd like to...
Maybe that's a Patreon special where we...
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, right. Fans, I'm going to be honest, we've not had many contributions for the fan focus. So if you've got anything you want us to...
That counts as one, doesn't it? We can use that.
We can. If you've got any more, please throw them our way. What I will do in the meantime is... Oh, go on, Dan.
No, Nick's just put in the question, name our best defensive four.
Oosh. Are we talking like...
I'm assuming that's the back four.
Yeah. Are we talking like at present or if everyone is playing at their best?
I don't want to put words in Nick's mouth, but I imagine it's out of who we've got in our squad, defenders, put your best four there.
I'll go first. Left back, Max Conway. There's no reason why we can't say he's our kind of starting left back.
Agree with that.
I will go. My defensive two would be, and people might scoff at this or laugh or whatever, but at the end of the day, I think when he played left of the three in our playoff runs, he was comfortably one of our better defenders. So I'd play Torley left of the two at centre half, and I'd play Forrester next to him. I think they're my two favourite personally. I think they're the
Ahead
two.
of Farina?
Yeah, ahead of Farina, yeah.
Wow.
I think Farina at times, as good as he is, I think he can get caught out. And I think Forrester's a better defender than him. And Toll's my favourite centre half of what we've got, in my own opinion. And I will play Christie at the right of the four.
Would you?
Long term, yeah, because I think I'm looking at it in the near future. We're talking about crosses into the box from deep. I think you're going to get more off him at right back than you will do off Cogley. As much as the question was about defensive four, in fairness, as much as Cogley is a decent enough defender, I think offensively you're going to get more of Christie for them kind of attackers to make them runs and whatnot. Case in point against Wigan. Was it Wigan? No, Peterborough the other week when Burstow made that diag and it came from that, didn't it? So, yeah. They'd be my four.
Yeah, fair enough. Conway, I I like Christie, but he's only played a couple of games. He's nowhere near fit, so I'm not quite sure. But what I have seen of him, I do like. That being said, Cogley gets a few pelters, done it. I like his athleticism, but yeah, I'd probably go Conway on left, Christie on right, Farino, and if he was fully fit, I would say Forrester, but he's very injury prone. I'd probably say Johnston just because of that left footer on left side.
I don't think that's that important. Me, like
I do. I like it. I like it.
I do. I get why you like it because it gives you that balance. But we're having the ball most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Tolle,
I don't see.
Yeah, but you look at Toll. I know you're wanting to play Toll, and that's fine. He can play there, obviously, but he's a bit like ungainly sometimes on ball, or maybe it's just the way he looks, getting it out of his feet. And I think when you've got a natural left footer, I'm only thinking of myself like when I play that it just seems easier to play a left footer on the left hand side. But it's just an opinion, isn't it? So it is.
Well, there's no right and wrong answers, is there?
Yeah.
Oosh, back fours. I mean, the standout for everyone, I think, is Conway. I don't think his place is up for contemplation in any realm, any quantity, any measurement. On the left, I have to agree. I'd probably go Jono. I like having that left footer. I think he's more comfortable on the ball than perhaps Toll is, and I think that comes from playing in that back five where he was on the outside. He was on the ball a lot. He could drive forward a lot, and I think he's just a bit more comfortable. I would say Farino. It's between Farino and Forrester for me. I really like Forrester. I think every time he's been in the squad, he's been really, really good.
Yeah.
Farino, I think if you're playing with Johnston, I think it's important to have a big, commanding, powerful centre back, and I think Farino complements him more than Forrester would. And then for me, I'd actually go Cogley on the right. Again, that's at present. I'm sure it's difficult, that isn't it? Because I think at present it's Cogley just because of fitness, match minutes, and I think he complements Dewberry a little bit more on the overlap or underlap or wherever he runs. But Christie is a perfectly viable option once he's fully match fit. We saw it against Peterborough, what you can do. I think he's steady, and that's important, especially when you're playing behind AC.
I have a question for you two, but also the chat as well, before we wrap up. I know Taylor's come on as a left back most of the time, but am I right in thinking that he's a left-sided centre-half as well?
He played there for St Mirren, I believe. But in pre-season, I don't know if you watched any of the pre-season games, but he was playing at left back and he was surprisingly good going forward because he's a big lad, obviously. You think centre-half, heading it, whatever, but he really did look good. But obviously,
he's so nimble for someone of his size, isn't he? Against Hibs before he went off, he was unreal.
He was so good.
I know you were saying, and I picked Conway as my left back, and I think he will be for probably most of the season, I would suspect. But I do think that we might see a bit more of Taylor in these next few weeks. I think you might give him a bit of a rest. I think he needs it.
I think prior to Huddersfield, I thought he was really good against Huddersfield, but I think there might have been an argument prior to that he did look a bit jaded, Conway. So it wouldn't have surprised me if he would have freshened that up against Huddersfield, to be honest. But yeah, Taylor, he's fit. He's one of them, innit? Like Dolby, you're only going to see what he's made of when he gets a proper run of games, really. Bit part, appearances aren't going to do much for you consistently, or your confidence, are they really?
I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to try and keep this one brief. But something that came to me as soon as that question was asked was, isn't it frustrating that this current backline that we've got would be so good as a five-back? If you look at terms of personnel, if you imagine Taylor on the left, like not as a wing-back, Conway as a wing-back, Taylor on the left, I think that partnership would be unfathomably good. Farino in the middle, and then Forrester, whoever on the right, with Cogley at wing-back.
I'll be honest with you. I've thought about that after we've not been getting these kind of results away from home, 3-5-2. But I could never bring myself to say it publicly after like what's happened with Everton, and we've kind of done with it all, weren't we? But if you look at the team, Absolutely. I mean, God forbid Cozy Adubre goes in January, but say if he did, you know, it would probably make something like that a bit more viable.
Yeah.
But I hope not. I hope not. I really want 4-2-3-1 will do for me. 4-3-3, whatever. But I think we have got the squad to play it. And the thing is, he's played a back three before, hasn't he, at Plymouth? And when he first came to us, he was very flexible in chopping and changing. So it won't surprise me in future if he did throw it out.
I think it says a lot about his belief in his squad, though, that he knows that it doesn't matter whether he's going away to Huddersfield or wherever, that he can play a 4 and he doesn't have to revert to playing a 5. It shows what he's got at his disposal, he believes in, and he knows the talent of them as well to not change that.
That and I think he did that at Stoke. Going, he kind of had more of a preference for the formation he's playing with us. So if it's obviously the way he wants to play, I don't think would probably be in any danger. But it's nice to know that he's comfortable with more than one system that he's coached, isn't it? It's not just this is our way of playing. This is it.
Yeah,
deal with.
And he
it
deserves credit from yesterday because he made some good changes as well.
He did. Yeah, and he'll get criticised when he makes the wrong ones, and he has been before. But that's management, isn't it? You're not always going to get things right, but
we might have to go 5. We might have to go 5 at the back if we go up, though, just to let everybody know. Just prepare yourself for that.
Do you reckon?
I reckon so. Yeah.
You never know, do you? Recruitment and play a massive part. Let's bloody get promoted first, Collar.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you are, ladies and gents. That is episode 155 of the Fanzone podcast. Thank you all very much for joining us. It has been a pleasure to the live chat. You have been magnificent as always. Thank you all for tuning in. But until the next time, take care. You've been watching the Fanzone podcast. This evening's episode sponsored by Loving My Socials. We will see you all very soon.
See you later.
Nice one. Take care.
You